Now, All Things Real Estate continues on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN. Once again, here's your hosts, Gary Kelly and Brad Aubergone.
Good morning and welcome to All Things Real Estate on WCRN, broadcasting 50,000 watts. You know, they advertise that they're in Worcester. The tower is actually somewhere like Leominster, someplace like that. I'm Gary Kelly. I'm with Remax Executive Realty, and I'm joined today, as always, by
Brad Aubergone with Envision Bank and Mortgage. And what you don't know, Gary, is they do broadcast with 50,000 watts, but the entire city of Worcester, when they turn that on, it just dims down just a little bit. That draws all that wattage away.
Yeah, I suspect that that's the case. So do you remember the movie from 1976, Network?
Yes.
And Howard Beale was the character, and Howard Beale would just go on rants, and it was stuff coming into his head. Brad, I got to do a rant. I just have to.
Rant away, Gary. Rant away.
Well, here's the thing. I went out a couple of weekends ago to an open house in Lancaster. Lancaster, far away from here, right? There were at least 100 cars lined up outside the house. They actually had the police called, and the police told people that they had to go park in a grocery store parking lot like a mile away.
Oh my God.
And there were 71 offers on the house. Now,
You're kidding me.
Part of
71?
me says congratulations to them for being able to drive the traffic, blah, blah, blah. Part of me says that that's like really bad because consumers are going to see open houses with that kind of traffic, and it's a feeding frenzy. So I was sitting in the car with my clients, and I remember distinctly saying to them, don't get caught up in this. It's a certain amount of show, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't get 71 offers, because they did. But that doesn't mean you should put in an offer that's tens of thousands over asking, even though my clients did that and they still didn't get the house. I think that's kind of crazy. But at the same time, if you look at where the radio station actually has their offices, it's in Westboro.
Mm-hmm.
In the same building as Envision Bank and Mortgage.
That's right. My office.
Okay. I looked last night before I went to sleep. Last night, Brad, before I closed my eyes, I thought of you. And I said, how many homes are for sale in Westboro last night before I went to sleep? And I can honestly look, and Brad, this is Jeopardy. What's the answer?
8.
You're wrong. I was going to do my best, Ed McMahon. You're wrong, Camel Brad. The answer is 6. 6 single-family homes in Westboro. Now, there's a bunch of memes going around saying Tom Brady has won the Super Bowl more times than there are houses on the MLS. Well, for Westboro last night, it was true.
It was true.
6 homes. If you take a look at kind of what's going on in the marketplace, you start to see that over the weekend on Saturday, I take a look on Saturdays, we had just under 6,000 homes in the market. That compares to roughly 10,000 last year. So we're running at 60% market share, or not market share, 60% inventory compared to last year, which is everyone runs around saying there's no inventory. There's no inventory. Well, the houses that are out there are selling. So my sense is houses that are on the marketplace indeed are getting gobbled up quickly. Why is that? Well, I think it's people like yourself keeping the interest rates low. Thank you, Brad.
My pleasure. Anything to
Okay.
help.
If you could raise the interest rates and temper some of the demand, that would be great. The inventory situation is definitely driving some of this. I think that you do have a certain amount of people coming out of Boston that don't want to live in COVID infected Boston, okay, which is obviously an exaggeration. And that tide will switch at some point, be it through vaccinations or we've come to learn to live how to live with the virus. That's going to change. And so the Boston stuff, I think, is a temporary thing, but there's no question about it. We have clients that say, listen, we're done living in the city. We live in the city, everything's closed. We're not having any fun. We now want to get out in the suburbs and get out to the fresh air and all that.
Right.
So you've got a number of dynamics coming to play here. And frankly, I feel sorry for people that are trying to buy a house, first-time buyers, because it is a feeding frenzy. And we don't tell them not to go out and look, but we do try to set an expectation very early on that it's not your typical market. It's not your typical market at all. And I don't know how long it's going to be like that. Is it going to be driven by vaccine? Is it going to be driven by people saying, the heck with this? I mean, we have people that won't let folks into their house because they might get sick. Okay, can't blame them, understand it. We also have people that are saying, listen, I've got a place in Florida. I want to leave and move to Florida. Is this a good time to sell the house? I got to tell you, if you're in the Metro West area, if you're in the sound of my voice, this is an excellent time to sell the house. And by all means, if you want to sell your house, call a real estate agent like myself, 508-733-6005. Call a real estate agent and say, what can I get for my property? What has to be done to my property to get it ready to sell? Because it's not about anything more at this stage than properly positioning the property, having the, paint the front door so that when the real estate agent's coming in to do a showing, that they're able to get into the house. And then the consumer can look at the house and say, this place looks really good. You want the place to look good. You also want it to be priced correctly. Those are the important things. Anything that's a major structural, mechanical, or life safety issue, unless you want to just do a fire sale, get that stuff fixed in advance. Okay, so that people don't have to deal with that at inspection time. Okay, there's a whole thought that says, oh, leave things for the inspector to find. While I get some of that, I also think that if it's a major safety, life safety, mechanical issue, get that addressed up front, because you're able to do it at your pace. In other words, you can have, you can take care of a faulty electrical switch and not have it getting written up in an inspection report as calling an electrician to replace the electric switch.
Gary, can I ask you a question about that?
No, it's my rant. I'm on my, no one interrupted Howard Beale.
I'm mad as heck and I'm not going to take it anymore. That was
Right.
the line, right? Gary, my question is this. Do you believe in the pre-listing inspections where a client would do an inspection, get the list of items that need to be repaired, and then fix them in advance, and then basically give that to any prospective buyer?
I definitely believe in a typical market with having a pre-listing home inspection. What do I mean by a typical market? The market that we found ourselves in even last year. A pre-listing home inspection allows you to address those issues ahead of time. I don't believe in sharing the report. I believe that Massachusetts is a buyer beware state, but the buyers have to do their own inspection. I don't want to lead them down a path that might open myself up to subsequent litigation, but definitely go through and have that done. Now, in this marketplace, one of the tactics people are using is, I'm going to write an offer and we're not going to do a home inspection. Okay, well, that telegraphs to the buyer, telegraphs to the seller that they're not going to nickel and dime on inspection. Trust me, however, Brad, people will have a home inspection and they will come back even though they've agreed not to. Okay, Sometimes it's reasonable, sometimes it's understandable, sometimes it's like, yeah, you knew you were going to do this from the beginning. So I don't necessarily like that. If someone wants to bypass a home inspection, that's their choice against the recommendation of the professional realtor. But I will also then say, what about a home warranty? Okay, because for kind of the same money, you at least have some protection. It won't cover everything, but some protection in the house. So it's a trade-off.
Yeah, I think that's really a great advice. That home warranty is a really good solution. And most of the things I'm guessing, and most of the things on a home inspection, I'm guessing, are relatively simple and inexpensive to fix. Many times there are bigger items, but if you have that home warranty that warrants the furnace, warrants the air conditioning unit, things like that, that can minimize some of that risk. So I think that's a really good suggestion for folks to look at. And obviously, if you're able to bring somebody in to view the home that has some experience, in what to look for, I think that's helpful. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you share your experience with your clients as well when you see something that, especially with first-time home buyers, that might be glaring to you, but that they may not realize. You share that with them. But
in my company, we actually have to have buyers sign a form, and I call it the Gary is an idiot form. Okay, it's 3 pages long.
I'll sign that form.
Yeah, it's 3 pages long, and it says Gary's not an electrician. Gary's not a carpenter. Gary's not a plumber. Gary's not an appraiser. Gary's not. And basically, what is Gary? Well, I'm the guy that opened the door. Have a nice visit. Right. But I look at that and say, I'm going to point out the things that I can see, but I do recommend people get home inspections. Not getting a home inspection is a strategy, but there's risk associated with that strategy. Brad, let me calm down. Let me find something in my house to consume, to calm myself. If someone wants to reach you, how do they reach you?
Best way to reach me, Gary, is via my cell phone, which is 978-375-5531, or my email, excuse me, which is babergon@envisionbank.com. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat here.
Sorry, Brad, that you're all choked up just because I thought of you before I slept last night. I'm Gary Kelly. I can be reached at 508-733-6005 or Gary@movewithgary.com. Let's come back after the break, Brad, and we'll talk about something else.
Sounds good, Gary.
You've been listening to All Things Real Estate on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN.